Welcome again to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. Today I'll be talking to Sister Urvashi about acceptance. So many of us are in that confused state where whether we accept what's going on or how do we even accept and begin to comprehend that this is not just going to go away like we thought. Everyone thought this pandemic would only be there for maximum probably 3 months, that or when we turn 2021, that it magically would disappear. But somehow it just seems to be getting worse. For example, we're now in January. And for past 2 days, we've been seeing a rise in numbers of deaths in the UK. And we are at that point, we're asking ourselves, how do we get by? How do we get by with this new norm? How do we accept that this might be our reality for a very long time? I'll be talking to Sister Urvashi to understand from her point of view how to deal with this whole pandemic, how to find acceptance within ourselves, how to find that love and understanding and embracement so that our mental health, our anxiety and depression is greatly reduced. She's a well-known speaker. She speaks very much on this subject, and I'm so delighted that she'll be joining me today. Meet Sister Urvashi. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Painless Universal Conversation with myself and Welsh. As you know, we do this show about pain when we talk about different struggles. Today, we'll be talking about acceptance of our new reality. It's very hard for a lot of us to deal with this reality of the pandemic, but I have Sister Urvashi. She'll be telling us how to deal with the acceptance. How do we get through this economic challenge the world is facing today? The pandemic is causing so much stress, anxiety on so many. Sister Urvashi, thank you so much for joining me. How are you again?
I'm very well, thank you.
Your former video you did with me, that was well taken. It got so much
Mm.
views. A lot of people really appreciate your message that you gave because I mean, you always speak from a place where people who are, they have this uncertainty in their life. The moment they hear you speak, they feel this peace from somewhere. And I'm really glad you
Thank
were
you.
able to join me again.
Yeah.
Um, I, I want you to tell me a little bit about your background because I think people are very fascinated. How can she be so calm about things? How does she give this message of hope and acceptance to us? And what is her background that makes so because I'm always curious. I love what you do, and I just want you to tell us a little bit more.
Okay, thank you. Um, the organization which I belong to is called Brahma Kumaris World Spiritual University. It's a quite long-winded name, but the name Brahma Kumaris means the daughters of Brahma. And the organization has been affiliated since 1937, but in the UK since 1971.
Mm.
The beauty of this organization, I would say, and I've been part of it from a very young age. Actually, my mother joined this organization when I was 3, and now I'm 50 this year, so that's a long time meditating. And it's an organization which is for everyone. It's, even though the name Brahma Kumaris, the name Kumaris means daughters, it actually is for everyone, for a mother, for a father, and my mum and dad, my brother and myself, and many families have joined this organization because the main emphasis is on meditation. And the meditation that we teach here is called Raja Yoga meditation. And it's about really going within the self and seeing what is going on, because many times I have so many thoughts, and especially now with the whole pandemic, there's a lot of fear, there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety. And at that moment, when something happens, which is what we're going through now, what is it that I can do for myself that I can create peace? And that even though it's happening in my life, but it's like I'm not getting affected. And so the Brahma Kumaris teaches this meditation. Actually, it's worldwide based, and whichever country you may be looking in, where you're from, it's there'll probably be a branch near you, but definitely I'm not here to publicize the organization at all. But I think what I'm trying to say is that I've experienced COVID myself in the month of December. Would you like me to share a little bit about that?
Yes, please.
And in December, I started to get like some body pains, and I didn't quite know what it was. And actually then, because I had just a symptom of body pain, I thought, okay, let me go get a test done, which I did. And so it was negative. But then that body pain developed into a very deep lung issue where I couldn't breathe. And actually for about a few weeks, I wasn't talking because every time I tried to talk, I was coughing. And it's like, you know, when somebody's holding on to your throat. So in a sense, you could say I got hit quite hard with the COVID, where it affected the respiratory system. And during that period, I was in my room 24/7, eating in the room, sleeping, anything which I needed to do. But I remember saying to someone on an SMS, because he asked me, how are you feeling? And I said, even though I can't talk, I can't breathe properly, my mind is very quiet. And I was a little bit shocked at myself, to be honest, because even though I'd been meditating, I realized that the body couldn't breathe, whatever. But inside, I was very quiet. There was no concern at all. There was no fear. There was actually no worry. And I remember getting up in the morning, and every morning I would clean my room. It's not a big room, and I'm lucky because I've got an ensuite bathroom as well. So then other people, you know, didn't come into contact with me at all. So for 3 weeks, actually, I stayed in one confined space. But I remember every morning I would get up and I would just clean and just make sure everything was okay. Keep the room just nicely aired. And it's like I was just doing things of the day on my computer, on my iPad, but coughing or not being able to breathe. Um, and there's one experience I want to share with you, which really shifted it, you know. And I think it was when I was really struggling, I would say. And actually, in reality, I should have gone to the hospital and whatever. But in a sense, because I was feeling fine, I didn't have any thoughts or feelings, but it was just this coughing. And I remember every day I would be inhaling 5 times a day. I would inhale and put in the, you know, the towel around your head. I didn't have a bucket, but this very nice steamer actually, and it was very nice. And then I remember this one phrase which we use as part of our organization called Man Mana Bhav. Man means, hey mind, connect with you, the divine, with your mind. So my mind connecting with your mind, meaning God's mind, connecting with God. And I remember it was just talking to you now, I'm visualizing what's happening, because I remember I just, you know, breathe in and then man, mana, ba. And I'm really telling you, that moment when I said that after a few times, something shifted. And it shifted like I could feel like my lungs were open. And it was a shocking experience because I could actually feel something had shifted. I didn't get better straight away, but day by day, I could feel that something was happening. Everything was getting a little bit better. And, but like I say, 3 weeks of this, and it was the first experience in my life like that, I would say. But looking back, what helped me? And I would say it was this practice of meditation. And so even for me as a meditator, you know, when you give lectures on positive thinking, give lectures on meditation, do this, handbooks, tools, all these different things we do talk about. But then the moment, actual moment of when something happens to you, which takes you away from everything you know. And that meditation actually was sort of kicked in. So at that time, during the 3 weeks, it wasn't about me sitting quietly meditating, but the practice of meditation, which happened where I was experiencing peace, I was getting up early, all these things. So the moment COVID kicked in, um, you know, it's like the body was going through whatever it was going through, but my mind, this whole mind was very quiet.
You know
And
what? Yeah.
so,
Go
so
on.
I just wanted to share that, you know,
No,
and so, yeah,
you know, I love that you shared that because what you just said there was really very touching. Because I think COVID has brought a lot of people who are spiritual talkers, who are people who give word of advice, motivational speakers, is actually got them to actually, you're saying this to people to do X, Y, Z. Now you're going to experience what you're preaching.
that's it. Practice what you're
Yes,
preaching.
yeah, and
Yeah.
because for me, I've always practiced what I preach because I've always had my chronic illness since I was a child. But a
Yes.
lot of people who have done motivational speaking have just said it by what they've read or what they've been taught, but
Yeah.
never have they ever had to live what they're actually
Yeah.
teaching. And for you, I think this is one of the first time you actually went through and said, you know what, I'm this person. I've learned this all my life. I better put this into practice. What was it like being no longer that person who's giving that advice, but now the person on the receiving end who has to practice what you preach? How was it? How
Yeah.
was that for you?
I, um, but that's, I think that's what I'm trying to say, that, you know, when you do practice something, you know, the meditation, like we go very early in the morning, 4 o'clock actually, and meditate. And that time of morning, and if you try it, you may see the reason why we do it. It's because the whole atmosphere, everyone is asleep, you know, even the atmosphere is quiet as well. And so because of that, you feel different. And so so that's what I think what I'm trying to say is, when anything unexpected happens, you deal with it in a very different way. You know, that worry is not there, that anxiety is not there. And in a sense, so it just like naturally, um, the mind is always quiet 24/7. And so when I'm ill, my mind is still quiet. I'm not then panicking. I think that's what I'm trying to say. I'm not like worried, you know. And so that's why that practice is important. But I'll tell you one interesting different thing happened after, when it comes to recovery time,
Yes,
if you'd like to
yes,
hear. And it's that
absolutely.
because, and I didn't know this, but once you've been through COVID, and whoever has been through COVID, really hope, you know, that they're all okay. Um, there's a recovery period, and the recovery of the body, where the body needs to heal.
Mm,
And that healing actually is very important, because sometimes you feel, okay, I'm fine, I'm get up, let me become Superwoman again, and Wonder Woman, and da 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 da.
yeah.
And and I could feel that, even though my isolation days were over, and I was fine, but it still takes time to heal the body. And I realized that you have to give yourself time.
Mm,
We give our time to our work, to whatever we need to do, but it's like giving time to the self. And through this process, I realized that one thing is very important in our life, especially when you're recovering from something, is you need a huge amount of determination and willpower to get back to normal.
yes.
Um, and this and so it's like, I remember waking up, let's say 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, because during the COVID sleeping for 7-8 hours. And I was doing that, not continuously, but I was still sleeping. And usually I only sleep about 4 or 5 hours and I'm totally fine. But during COVID, I just slept. I'll get up whenever I'm going to get up and whatever. So, and so when it came to the recovery period, the body was still not wanting to get up, even though I wanted to get up. And so, did you see what I'm trying to say?
Absolutely.
So then the mind and my thoughts, I had to say to myself, okay, I want to get up to meditate. And so bit by bit, with that determination, it's like, who is in charge? Is it the body, or is it me, the being, the spirit, the one that thinks, that feels? And so the body had to go through what it had to go through, the clearing the virus and everything. But then I had to make my mind, keep my mind very strong, that then I get into a normal routine. Because as you know, that when you go through things, to get back into a normal routine, you need a lot of strength. And I think that's where this determination kept on coming in very strong. And so after 1 week, I said, okay, I'm going to get up 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'd get up at 2 o'clock, to be honest. I'd get up so early, but then I would say, okay, go back to sleep. And so I'd put myself to sleep again and then get up at 4 to meditate. And so recovery period is about still letting the body heal, but that real inner strength of determination to want to get back to normality.
That is so true. Because I remember when I used to be sick a lot, the doctor said,
Yeah.
"You're not letting your body recover."
Mm,
As soon as I get better, as soon as they discharge me from hospital, I'm like, that's it, I'm done. I'm at home now. I'm doing the things I need to do, the things I missed out on. 2 days later, I'm back in hospital. And the doctor called me one day and said, "And do you know why you're always back at hospital?" I'm like, "No, there's nothing. I'm fine."
yeah,
No, because you don't let your body recover.
that's it.
But as you said, the problem we have as well with the recovery is knowing when the recovery now has to stop. Okay,
That's it.
giving yourself 2 weeks or 1 week, whatever it takes, but now you need to get back to the little bit of exercise. So this is what I love when you said, I let the body do what it needed to do. But
Mm,
so I have to remind the body it is the mind that is in charge. And I think it's not just people who are suffering from COVID that will understand what you just said. It's actually people who have chronic illnesses as well.
yeah.
Because we have the challenge of knowing when to stop that recovery. Because we think, oh, we have to keep sleeping. Even people coming out from military, people who've gone through that military training and they've been to various war
Mm,
zones, they come back, they let their mind recover, but they don't know when to stop to say, okay, now I need to be strong and fit into
that's
society.
right.
And I love that. That's why I love the way you said it. Is that when do you know that you need to let your mind
Mm,
be in charge?
that's true.
I'm so
And
glad.
and do you, I don't know if you and others who have chronic experience, like when somebody asks you, how are you? They usually ask, and then I remember I would say, I'm not too good. And then a few days later, somebody else asks you, how are you feeling? I'm okay. And then after okay, I'm totally fine. And then I'm absolutely back to normal. That feeling. So inner self, it's that drive, like you said, you need that inner strength to want to get back to normal.
It's true.
And it is about this, it's actually is about saying to yourself, I want to get back to normal.
Yeah,
I want to, I want to do that. And I think, and then you become an example for others as well. Like you've been through so much, all your life. And so it's like, looking at you now, you can't tell, your smile is absolutely amazing. So,
Yeah.
You know, how can anyone tell somebody's not well? And
Mm,
I've known someone who is one of our spiritual leaders who's not with us, Daddy Janki. She passed away at 104, and her whole life from a young age she was always ill. But like you, the face never ever revealed it.
mm,
Nothing. The body would. It's like give your body the break, but
yes.
then get back and
Yes.
not becoming lazy. I think that's, you know, sometimes you feel, okay, it's fine to get up, sleep those few hours.
Mm,
And actually, then you realize yourself. And I think it's about being honest with yourself.
yes.
Is
And
that true? Yeah.
it's being honest. You have to just know, you listen to the body, you know when the body is saying it's okay, and you know when the body is now ready, because you're no longer in any kind of pain, but your
Yeah.
mind is always never ready. That's one thing people have to always remember. Your mind
Yeah.
is never ready for anything, or only you who has to make your mind ready.
Yeah. Yeah.
And your mind is always like on a dormant phase. The body
Yeah.
is ready because your body doesn't feel any pain and everything, but the mind is always dormant. So it's up to you you have to
Yeah.
wake those nerves again and say, look,
Yeah.
you did this
Yeah.
before, you could do it
Yeah.
gradually.
Yeah.
You don't have to start. I think some people think they need to go back into that aggressive way of doing things, but you just have to start
No,
little by little.
gentle,
Yes.
little by little. It's baby steps again.
Again,
Definitely, yeah.
a lot of babies.
And I'd like to use this other word, soul.
Yes.
Soul, the spirit. So because the mind is within the soul,
Yes.
we think, we feel, and so the mind is part of us, but that's not all we're about. We think, we feel, you
Yeah.
know, and that's where everything is happening. And so even though, like you say, you know you've got an illness, you know there's something, but I don't need to feel as though I'm unwell.
Yeah.
Does that,
You have.
so it's the soul. The soul is very separate from the body, and that's what meditation is. It's tapping into you, the soul. That the soul is here,
Mm,
and it's like when somebody passes away, what's passed away?
mm.
It's the spirit. It's the soul.
Oh, no, I love
As
that.
simple as that.
And that's a better way of actually looking at it, because that gives you that control. It's not just the body, but you have the soul that you also need to respect that. And once you
Yeah,
wake it and connect with you, because I noticed even with myself, I think that's when I started getting better, was when I connected the two. I separated them before I left the alphabet, but I think you need to find a way to connect the two and not leave
yeah,
them separate. Because I've been in intensive care, and
yeah.
I could feel my soul leaving me. You could hear voices around, and I could hear my mom saying, "Wake up! You're not leaving me here. Wake
Yeah,
up!" That your body's lifeless. It doesn't want to move. That there's something in you
that's it.
that says, "Stay strong. This is not your time." Yeah, and that's why I agree
Yeah,
that point. But
yeah,
that brings me to the acceptance of the pandemic, because I think so many people thought that 20, I remember when we were all getting ready for 2021, I said to myself, I don't think I would be doing a big celebration about 2021, because I just can't see how this is just going to go away. And so far, if you've been following the news, you've seen it's gone worse than it
yeah,
was last year. And now people are getting to that bit where, how do we now accept that this is actually might be a norm for a long time?
yeah,
What would you say? How do we cope with this mind where we turn it towards the acceptance side, to start accepting rather than rejecting this? I mean, everyone's like, oh, give it 2 months, it's gone. But I don't know. And
yeah.
what would you say about that? That acceptance?
Mm. Um, it's like it's a bit like a story, I would say. I think life is like a story. It's which we call a drama, and um, we all felt 2020 maybe by September things will get better. You know, and I think there was that feeling, and then come November, boom, it's happened again in a different way. and now boom, it's still there, and it's the UK.
Yes.
And so then it's like the whole world's response to you,
Yes.
the country's response, what you're hearing. And you're right, you don't know when it's going to get better. You feel as though it can get better,
Mm,
um, but you don't know what's after that,
mm,
because it's a story it's not that you can really predict. And I know there are many which are predicting, which is brilliant, because I know the certain predictions by the end of the year things will be okay. um, and so, but if I try to live every day as each day is a new day, okay, each day. So today I'm here today. Tomorrow I don't know if I'm going to be here at all. I don't know anything. And so it's like, in my mind at the moment, is live in each moment. Today I'm connected with you, I'm talking to you. An hour later, we don't know. And so I can't expect, and this is where this word expectation comes in, I can't expect things to be okay on the outside. There are two things which can happen. One is relating to myself. One is I can accept me and do something about me, and like I say, whether if I'm going through an illness, whether I'm going through hardship financially, because I know a lot may be happening in people's lives, which really, really probably is very worrying. We don't know, but whoever's listening to this, or when they listen to the news, so you can feel the vibrations, of really something. But if I really try to find a way to accept within myself, so keep that out of you first,
mm,
okay? Whatever's happening keep it outside first. Me, how am I? When do I go like this?
mm,
Giving myself that love, because in situations like this, we forget ourselves. And when we give even, just a bit of time to the self, what will happen is, um, whatever's going to happen tomorrow, day after, 3 months, 4 months, whatever, my vision will not become critical. I won't get fed up that this pandemic is still happening. But my response is really that, I'm I'm okay, and it's actually not being selfish, because many times, self-development, self this, self that, you're being it's I, but actually it isn't. It's creating genuine peace, genuine love. I may not have
mm,
anyone who I love,
yes.
in my life. I may be just by myself, and I want to experience love. I want to feel love from someone. And but at this point in time, if I'm able to really feel that love for myself, genuine, just feel, just the way you would care for a baby, just the way you care for someone, do can I do that for myself? And that is called self-respect.
Wow.
That word is a really powerful word, because self-respect, and I've learned this a lot more, there's no ego. Self-respect is, I'm giving respect to me. I'm giving respect to me as an individual. And this can bring tears to your eyes, because it's like, when I begin to give regard, respect to me, then others will naturally give regard and respect to you, because my vision for you is always going to maintain as being good. And so then the pandemic is here. We don't know how long it's going to stay. We don't know months. But at this point in time, today, right now, let me let me hold on to the things which is of value, rather than worrying or expecting. And so this is how I think I'm dealing with 2021. And actually, one very powerful thing happened. 2020, I felt you came. Thank you. I thank 2020, even though the pandemic, and it hit hard for myself and for everybody around us, everything. I said, thank you. Thank you, 2020. Now, 2021, everything's going to be fine for the self.
Yes.
Around, I can't control what's happening around me. I can't stop the pandemic, but I can help with the vibrations of just giving feelings of peace, and that alone is actually helping. But in this, you say, people say, okay, where is God?
Yes. And I hear that question a lot. Where is
Where,
God? Yeah.
where God? But actually, to help the self,
Mm.
when I connect with him, he's there.
Um,
you know
yeah.
just like a parent. If you imagine, your mom and dad, they, you are not your mom and dad. And because you're not your mom and dad, they, the parent has to watch the child go through whatever it needs to. The parent can say to the child, do this, do that, this will help you, and so whatever. And so God is like that as well.
Mm.
God is, so it's only when the child learns from the parent and wants to connect to the parent, um, you
That,
then, the qualities of the parent, of God, then you feel those vibrations in you. So again, don't expect from God.
yes, I like that.
Don't expect from me. Don't expect from you. Make the effort for yourself. Learn, what it is our, like when somebody gets married,
Mm.
to hold from this day forward, when you're connecting with someone, um, for richer, for poor, in sickness, in health, till death do us part. What does that mean? It's like, we say things, but it's like I have to also take ownership of things around me. So it's like when I tap into God in the right way,
Mm.
I begin to feel God's presence.
In that way, yes. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have that deep connection. How does that, and our final question would be, how does this link with resilience? Because I see that resilience is accepting your reality, right?
Mm.
You need to have that toughness in you to accept the new reality. Your key advice to those who are struggling to accept this new reality that might go on for a very long time, how do they find the resilience to do that?
Um, I think in a very, very simple way. For me this year, there's this one thought which came: just accept. And this word, just accept what's happening, whether it's going to happen, it's happening with the body, accept what's happening with the world, with the virus, or anything that we know is happening. It could have been my home. And so for me, this one word which is actually, I'm seeing it form and taking shape, that it brings a different energy. And
Mm.
so it's like the power to face, the power to tolerate, the power to adjust, adjusting in a situation, the power to just pack up. It's finished, it's gone, I don't need to think about it anymore. And so you automatically begin to feel immune. Things do not affect you the way they used to. Imagine this one person who's always irritated you in one way or another, and so it's like the more I'm actually gaining more inner confidence in myself, facing myself in different ways. Other people who I'm reacting to, that reaction changes, or it becomes less. So in a sense, I'm combating myself with these different things, but actually it's actually within me. I do not need to do anything else but really just be convinced, actually, and I'm using that word convinced, be convinced that I have everything within me.
I like that. That is true.
I really have every, just like if you're going to go to do something on a mission, you combat yourself, so you have it, but it's when your mind is quiet. And I'm bringing it back to meditation again, because like I say, my whole awareness is open in a very different way, even though I've been meditating all these years, that it's like only when I feel who I am, only when I feel who the presence of the divine is, um the words sadness, regret, all these different words, they don't exist anymore.
Wow, that is so true. That's the best way to deal with the resilience. I think it just comes from you eventually.
Yeah,
Your body just gets this immune, and it
yeah,
doesn't matter what's around. It doesn't matter how long this COVID decides to say. Your body just adjust. We just adjust to it. People are saying even if we go back to the old times, with how would we adjust? I said it would just happen. We would just not know how it happens, but our body
exactly.
just automatically get into it. Wow, I'm so delighted to spend this time with you to have
Yes.
this conversation, because I think it means so much that you shared your kind experience about your journey of dealing with COVID, and
Mm,
how such a serious condition it can be. That's
mm,
time we could also utilize this time, for
yes.
anyone struggling, to utilize this time to train your mind to deal with this, so at least you could fight it when it comes. I always say the trick to deal with illness, so it's not so bad, is just train your mind as well. And I like that you also share that in your story as well. And how we also need to accept, because there's so much going on in the world, and if we don't start accepting things, we start beating ourselves on it and start feeling sorry for ourselves. Is there any final words you like to end this with?
uh, just keep that in a smile. I think that's really important. We may smile on the outside, and even when it's difficult, if I'm peaceful within, if I'm okay within, that inner smile will continue to smile. So keep smiling, keep shining, um, and and that's it really. Nothing more, nothing less.
Well, Sister Urvashi, thank you so much for your time, and I really look forward to talking to you again. I'm sure we have so many more other topics we'll be talking about. I look forward to doing that with you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.